Hi, my name is Peyton Thomas. I'm the product manager for KAIROS and Switchers. And today joining me is Jensen, who's the product manager for high-end studio cameras and PTZs. And today we're going to be talking about Panasonic's end-to-end solution for sports production. In today's live events, specifically sports productions, are requiring a higher demand and higher level of a end user experience. And here at Panasonic, we're really trying to make sure we're helping complete the ecosystem for those people trying to pull off these types of productions. So that's trying to really enhance the end user experience while also creating more efficiencies like remote production and building that entire ecosystem around a full end-to-end solution. So in the screen in front of me, you'll see kind of how we have all of our cameras on the left-hand side. And these are our camera solutions that we can offer, whether that's robotics, cameras, PTZs, audio. All of those items are how we capture the video image and the audio quality needed for an enhanced sports production. In the center here, you see KAIROS. This is really how we're enhancing the middle part. So KAIROS is really creating and combining all of those different camera feeds and graphic systems and playback systems and really overlaying that content onto these different feeds and then delivering that content to whether it's LED walls or an end user streaming that directly from your phone. Jim's going to talk today about all of our camera ecosystems, so like our high-end studio cameras and some of our PTZs, and how really our camera solutions help enhance our broadcast solutions for sports.
Thank you, Peyton, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about our family of studio cameras as well as some of our high-end PTZs as it pertains to sports. We know with sports, there's a lot of variety of type of sports and level of sports that are being played today. And given the different environments that they're used, really kind of helps qualify which studio camera or PTZ would be best suited for that particular application. So I would like to kind of give an overview of our studio cameras with the idea that maybe we're using these in a larger venue type of application. We know sometimes in larger venues that the feed coming from the camera will go for a live broadcast, maybe for in-house venue, large screens, scoreboards as well, sometime for coaching analysis or even for penalty playback and analysis as well too. So a lot of applications. But when you take a look at the breadth of products that we have for our studio cameras, each of them lend themselves to a variety of applications within the sports market. And just by way of an example, just to kind of give you a quick overview of our family of studio cameras, let's just start with the 3900 that you see located on your screen here. And this particular 3900 is really our entry level and cost-effective studio camera that can be used in sports applications. It's an HD studio camera that has a paid upgradable path to 4K if that particular need arises. Now, the CCU used on this particular studio camera really supports a wide variety of workflows, which is really important for an entry-level studio camera. However, it does have some limitations, and you'll see that as we move through our studio camera lineup. And if we were to look slightly above in features and application, we go to the 3300, which is a studio camera that is really considered our mid-range and affordable 4K studio camera. Now, this particular one comes out of the box, so to say, is 4K and a little bit more flexible given the CCUs, the camera controls units, that are used with this studio camera. The 3300 uses our UCU 700 and 710 CCU and gives us the choice of SD2110, NDI, and SRT, so offering a little bit more flexibility. Now, a lot of times in these larger venues and sports arenas, we're working outside. So the importance of an ND filter is really critical, and the 3300 has that as well. Now, one of the nice things about the 3300 in sports applications is we find the need for high speed, and so we can do slow motion. And the 3300 gives us the ability to do slow motion 120 frames per second in HD. And then the other studio camera that we need to discuss is the 4000. This particular studio camera is more of our higher end studio camera for a lot of different reasons. This particular one is really used very heavily in sports because it has two filter wheels on it. It has a neutral density filter as well as a color correction filter. With changing lighting environments and those type of things, you need the tools on the studio camera to adapt to these changes, and the 4000 has that particular capability. Also, the 4000 gives us the ability to use our own build-up studio kit in case you're using one of those larger box lenses for longer throws and different applications that they find themselves in. So the 4000 also gives us a little bit more refined slow motion. It allows us to do 2x, 3x, and 4x slow motion in HD, giving us a more variety and more refinement with our slow motion. And our PLV 100 is different than our other cameras in that it uses a Super 35 sensor with a PL mount. Now, this particular studio camera is used in those applications where you really want to have a cinematic look in a shallow depth of field. It just adds to the element of the storytelling in sports. If that's what you're trying to achieve, then the PLV 100 is the camera for that application. Also, the ability to have dual native ISOs on here gives us the ability to really have two bases when it comes to adjusting our levels, giving us flexibility, especially in lower light conditions. The PLV 100 is not a B4 mount like the others, as I mentioned, so special PL mount lenses would be used. But then let's move to really our new flagship studio camera. It's the AK-UCX 100. Now, this particular studio camera, we call it our flagship for a lot of different reasons. One is the Super 35 sensor has the highest resolution within our lineup, which gives us improved sharpness and has improved sensitivity in lower light conditions. In addition to high speed in HD, which is 2x, 3x, and 4x, we also have the ability to do slow motion in 4K at 2x. So if the need calls for slow motion in 4K, then the UCX 100 would be the right choice. Now, there's a couple other things about the UCX 100 that is unique, and I'm sure Peyton will be touching on this a little bit later, but we do have the ability to do 25 gig SD 2110 right out of the camera head, and it also supports redundancy. So this becomes a very strong workflow tool in an SD 2110 environment. In addition to that, we could actually use our camera fiber adapter, the CFA 100, giving us the ability to not use a CCU, but use fiber connectivity directly to this camera adapter, powering the camera and really streamlining our workflow. And just a real quick note, it was just announced right off the hot of the presses, is our new UBX 100 box camera, which is essentially our UCX 100 in box camera form. So a lot of different choices there just to kind of summarize, given the different applications that are out there. Now, let's move a little bit to what are some of the accessories within a studio camera lineup. Time doesn't allow us to get into all the details of these accessories with the operating panel and the viewfinders and the CCUs, but it does make the point that within our studio camera lineup, you can interchange these with the different cameras, giving you the ability, if you were ever to enter another camera into your studio camera mix, a different model number, you can use the same CCU or remote panel or viewfinder, which operators absolutely love. Now, just a little bit about the CCU becomes somewhat of the heartbeat of the studio camera chain, in that our CCUs are unique in that it has an LCD screen built right into it. Now, this is really nice because I don't need a separate monitor to monitor my studio camera, as well as I can there access all my menus found on the camera head in the CCU directly from the UCU 700 and 710. You may ask yourself, well, what's the difference between the two? And really, the two CCUs are similar in functionality. It's just a matter of what options are pre-installed. The UCU 700 we really consider really kind of our base model, in that you have the ability to upgrade the UCU 700 to match the 710. You can see on the screen here that we have the ability to have SD 2110 as an option, supporting JPEG XS. We also have the ability to do Dante audio, as well as streaming features such as NDI and SRT. If your workflow is such where SD 2110 and Dante audio is needed immediately, you may want to go with the UCU 710 that has those particular options, the SD 2110 and Dante audio, already pre-installed. The only option would be the streaming option, which would be the NDI SRT. So you just have to look at your workflow, where you are and where you want to go to choose the right CCU from Panasonic. Now, also with the UCU 700 and 710, it gives us the ability with our fiber connectivity to go the distances of 1.24 miles, which is often needed when in a large stadium venue. Also, the ability to have an HDR workflow, which is both 4K and HD simultaneously, is achieved with our CCUs. Now, just a little bit about the box camera that was announced just the other day, actually, which we're so excited about. And the press release is the link right underneath the picture that you see there. But the UBX 100 has that same sensitivity, same sharpness, same resolution as the UCX 100, only in box form. It has a variety of IOs, just like the UCX 100 with the 12G and SDI, as well as the 25 gig SD 2110. Now, a big announcement that was also made with this camera that applies to the UCX 100 and the UBX 100 is the autofocus functionality. This is something that's really an industry first on a box camera such as this and a studio camera to assist operators in all applications in sports and beyond. So let's just make a quick transition to our PTZ family. Now, time doesn't allow us to go through all the PTZs that we have and all the applications they find themselves in, but it works very nicely into the workflow that Peyton had referred to. So I'm just going to choose two just real quickly. And that is one of the most popular outdoor PTZs used by major sports organizations today is the UR100. The UR100 is one of those outdoor PTZs that really check the box on all the specs that are needed for a robust and reliable PTZ to handle any of the environments. In fact, the robustness and reliability of the UR100, it's an IP65 rated for outdoor and is resistant to salt. The stabilization built into the UR100 is second to none and top of the line in our industry when it comes to PTZs. In fact, it incorporates many different technologies. It has the dynamic image stabilization, as well as the optical image stabilization, and the electronic image stabilization. Often these are mounted on rafters and grids and things of that nature, and strong winds and just vibration from many other factors can really interrupt the shot. But this allows us to have that stabilization where that doesn't become an issue. And the lens on this particular PTZ answered the questions to many in this sports environment. They wanted a strong zoom. So this particular one has 24x zoom. It also has a very wide angle of view, the 74.1. So we can really encapsulate and capture all that's in our shot. The streaming capability with SRT and RTMPS is really nice for those applications, and a full auto mode that you can finally trust. And then, of course, fiber connectivity, which has been a strong demand from our customers in the sports environment. And just lastly, let me also talk about the UE160, a product that we're seeing used in sports environments that has the greatest demands. Why? Well, there's really two, or really more than two, 10 really top 10 reasons. One, it's a newly developed sensor that has really a great sensor in it that gives us some of the best sensitivity in the marketplace that we are finding in PTZs. It has a built-in optical low-pass filter to help reduce mores in most situations. You could also connect a microphone because it does have phantom power directly into the XLR input. The phase detection autofocus is an autofocus that has become relied upon with the latest technology, so you don't see the hunting that you find in other autofocus mechanisms, as well as a built-in waveform display to check on the web GUI that's built into the camera. We have built-in auto framing, which really allows itself for a more natural and smooth auto framing that can be used when framing a talent, whether it may be given a report. And the industry's first SD2110 option that supports JPEG XS right out of this particular PTZ. The cropping and zoom functionality gives a little bit of workflow creativity, allowing you to get two pictures out of this particular PTZ with zoom capability. And for sports applications, we listen to our customers. We have 120 frames in HD capability. And the best thing about each of these products that I'm talking about, in particular with our UBX100 new box camera, the UCX100, and the 160, is you are truly able to achieve perfect color matching. Now, I said a lot in the last couple of minutes. Just as a quick overview, we invite you to visit our website for more details. Of course, answer any questions that are in the chat to give a little bit more specifics. But let me turn it back over to Peyton so he can talk, once the image is captured, what Panasonic is capable of doing from there. Peyton?
Perfect. Thank you, Jim. Jim's right. All the cameras that he talked about, the UCX100, the UE160, and the UR100, all those cameras can be ingested directly inside of KAIROS, and that core is able to process all of those images. And this core here is KAIROS, and this is the brain of the system. What's unique about KAIROS is the ability to do GPU processing, different than FPGA processing from traditional switchers. So KAIROS is unique in the sense that that GPU processing is giving you that flexibility and the creativity that you need to really be able to enhance that sports production. One of the unique features with that GPU processing is the ability to do layer-based operation. So typically you have a fixed limit of MEs or keyers on a traditional switcher, but that's not the case with KAIROS. KAIROS is all layer-based, so I can continue to add keyers on top of keyers, layers on top of layers, as many MEs in my system The moment that one of those MEs leaves the system is when that GPU starts being utilized. So I really don't have to think through my show anymore of, how many key years do I have per ME. I can just continue to build in this Photoshop or style-based workflow. So it's very much a left to right workflow, selecting a layer and being able to adjust a parameter very, very quickly. One of the unique things in a sports environment is I might have, feeds coming in remotely. So whether that's SRT, maybe it's a local SDI, or even 2110. So maybe I'm having some 2110 feeds. I'm looking at upgrading my venue to 2110, or already have existing 2110 in my facility. KAIROS can actually ingest all of that and also output it on a unique basis. So it's format resolution independent. So it doesn't really matter what resolution or frame rate I'm sending to KAIROS, it can take it in. So that means no more converters, no more up-down cross. KAIROS takes care of it for you. In addition to that, I can also work in SDR or HDR workflows directly from the interface. So that's on a per output basis too. So being able to take in all those different feeds. So let's say a UE160 remotely is coming in, via SRT, while I have my UCX 100 coming in 2110. So all of that can come in to KAIROS and be mixed and matched quickly and effectively, all within a single frame of latency. Inside of KAIROS, a lot of people think of KAIROS as maybe just a 2110 switcher, but that GPU processing gives us some unique things to be able to do in addition to just being able to switch a broadcast feed. And one of those features is being able to manage screen content, or our canvas feature set. So this might be unique in a sports application. If you have LED boards that you're trying to drive, you might not need that LED processor in line, which also saves on latency. In addition to that, you might want to be sending to like Instagram Live in a 9:16. Sports productions are trying to, elevate their experience, whether that's the in-venue experience or for the viewership at home. KAIROS could send a 9:16 directly out of it, via RTMP or SRT, if it's a stream, or even just directly out SDI, or even IPMX coming soon. So that's one of the unique things about KAIROS, is kind of bringing that screen management functionality inside of a single box or a single interface as well. And of course, that control can be split up, not just by one operator, but of course, across multiple operators with multiple control panels as well. Because KAIROS is so flexible with its GPU, we have a lot of major broadcasts that are utilizing KAIROS in a more effective and a more efficient way. And when traditionally you might have had to have a let's say maybe 3 switchers per venue, KAIROS can actually potentially manage all 3 different venues because of this flexibility with no fixed limit of MEs or keyers. So one operator could be at a baseball stadium, one operator could be at a tennis stadium, one operator could be at a soccer stadium, all connected back to one core. We have user management, so being able to make sure nobody steps on one another, but also having their own dedicated control interface to be able to talk to KAIROS and be able to switch their own feeds and their own show, but also being able to not have that fixed limit of MEs or keyers, and just being able to manage that GPU resource to be able to drive different content. And, I'm utilizing this in a sports content, different venues of sports. But let's say it is still sports, and you have a baseball stadium, but there might be some sort of in-house show going on at the same time. You want to also manage a green screen studio. Well, traditionally, maybe I would have had to have purchased an additional switcher to just manage that. I might not have to do that. I could do all of it from a single core, from a single interface that everybody's used to using. A lot of people are used to kind of the remote production of KAIROS, or kind of like the RIM model, and KAIROS can kind of operate in 2 different ways. KAIROS could be on-prem, on location, and ingest those camera feeds and send back SRT feeds of multi-views, and then just have the control panel or KAIROS Creator be remote. A lot of operators do that. Globestream is a perfect example of this. They actually have their core in the facility, and they're actually streaming back all of the Panasonic PTZs and cameras via SRT directly inside of KAIROS without the need of additional, SRT encoders to be able to bring those feeds in. Our cameras support native SRT, and they can feed it directly into KAIROS. And that's kind of what this diagram is showing here. And then they're able to cut their show remotely. They even have the ability to bring in graphics remotely, or even being able to have different announcers come in remotely. And they're able to mix and match all of those directly from KAIROS. One of the unique things about our panel is the PTZ control. And nothing kind of really replaces our RP150. Perfect for operators, gets that fine, control and smoothness. But in a quick moment of needing to grab a camera inside of your lineup and be able to, reframe that camera, the TD could do that directly from the KAIROS interface. And they could grab the joystick, be able to pan, tilt, zoom. Even inside of KAIROS Creator, I could adjust the zoom, the PTZ presets, or even the focus directly from the control interface. But these are directly on the panel. We have a feature also called Smart Delegation. So actually, if I preview one of our PTZ cameras, that PTZ preset that you might have saved on your RP150 or even inside of KAIROS, I could actually recall that preset directly from the control interface and quickly move on the fly. So it's kind of perfect for maybe a one-man band trying to do maybe a higher end, sports production. KAIROS could actually make your life a lot simpler and easier instead of having to, go over and run, slide your chair over, grab the RP150. I could potentially just punch some presets directly from the KAIROS interface as well. One unique thing in sports is, especially in remote production, is always having HTML5 graphics. The HTML5 graphics gives the ability to have remote graphics operators for those that might not know, but this is a really great workflow. KAIROS can natively ingest HTML5 directly into our graphics engine, and even be able to recall different APIs, API recalls to be able to push that content directly from the KAIROS interface. Another great integration we have is with ROS Expression. So for those people in the sports world that love using ROS Expression, we actually have ROS Talk directly inside of KAIROS. So any of those panel stripes could actually have presets that recall those graphics and really animate those in. So I think in summary, the big thing about Panasonic is really trying to offer a cohesive ecosystem and integration, not from just PTZs, studio cameras, robotics, but also with our KAIROS platform and being able to deliver that content directly to the end user. So thank you everyone for joining today's sports stream. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out on the website, contact a sales rep near you, and let us help you enhance your sports production experience. Thanks for joining.